Welcome back to the Feature, where I watch the full movie so you don't have to. I'm your host, Dwayne, and today we're watching The Crow from 1994. It's a great film because of the performance of star Brandon Lee, who tragically died during filming. Let's check it out. It's Devil's Night in crime-ravaged Detroit, and while the city is burning, a young girl's voiceover tells the legend of a crow that carries souls to the land of the dead, unless something goes so wrong, so cruel, that the soul can't rest. In a grimy loft, Police Sergeant Albrecht investigates the scene where Eric Draven and Shelly Webster were brutally murdered the night before their wedding. Eric is beaten and shot and then thrown from the window, while Shelly is brutalized and left to die. Before she's put in the ambulance, Shelly tells the sergeant to watch after a young neighbor girl named Sarah. Shelly and Eric watch over her because her junkie mom is more junkie than mom. Shelly eventually dies from her injuries and she becomes just another statistic. A year has passed by and it's another rainy, dreary day in Detroit as Sarah visits their graves, still loyal and still grieving. As she leaves, a crow lands on Eric's headstone and taps at it with its beak like it's clocking in for work. That night at Eric's grave, the crow stands watch as Eric Draven claws his way back into the world of the living. He's disoriented, broken, and running on pure instinct at this point. The crow guides him back to his loft, which is still taped off as a crime scene. Once Eric walks into the loft, memories slam into him in violent flashes. He relives the entire attack of that night. He sees the terror on Shelly's face and the faces of the men who killed her. He relives every painful moment, including his own murder. Eric discovers he can't stay hurt. He cuts his hands on some glass and the wounds close up and pain resets like it never happened. The crow watches over him as Eric realizes he's been sent back for one reason: to set things right. Eric takes a moment to reflect on happy times with Shelly as he looks through some old photos. The moment is fleeting though, as the anger and revenge come back into focus. He prepares for his revenge tour with some cool face paint before heading out with the crow on his shoulder as his guide. In addition to his wounds healing, Eric is also now skilled at parkour as he follows the crow leaping across rooftops in the rain. The crow leads Eric to Tintin, one of the killers with an affinity for knives. Eric moves with eerie calm and a lot of confidence. Tintin is overpowered pretty quickly and Eric confronts him about raping and stabbing Shelly. Not surprisingly, Tintin shows zero remorse. In fact, he's proud of it. His response catches Eric off guard and the tables are turned. Then Tintin pulls out his knives, thinking he's going to teach Eric a lesson. He starts throwing knives but can't seem to hit his target. Eric catches the last one with his bare hands and sends it right back to Tintin, and he doesn't miss. Eric next shows up at a local pawn shop wearing Tintin's leather jacket, completing his new look. The pawn shop is where Tintin dumps stolen goods, including Shelly's engagement ring. The store owner, Gideon, shoots him point blank and realizes he's in deep shit when he watches the bullet wound heal instantly. He's not dealing with one of his regular customers. Eric explains that Tintin, before he took his last breath, confided in him about where the ring was. Eric finds Shelly's ring and it's another reminder of what he's lost, so it's back to the revenge game. He trashes the place, setting it on fire as he walks out before it blows up. Gideon is left alive as a messenger to the others that Eric is coming for them next. Sergeant Albrecht responds to the explosion and finds Eric calmly walking away from the scene. He's held at gunpoint and basically confesses to killing Tintin and stealing his coat. When Albrecht becomes distracted by looters, Eric vanishes into the night. We finally get him beat the gang's ruthless boss, who goes by the name Top Dollar. What a stupid name. Top Dollar and his lover slash half-sister Micah are just chilling doing drugs as most siblings slash couples do when his right-hand Candyman Grange and low-level lackey T-Bird come interrupting with news of Gideon's place going kaboom and Tintin getting turned into Swiss cheese. The bad news doesn't really upset him too much. He just does another line of coke and sends them off to find out how each of these two events happened under their watch. Sarah's drug addict mom Darla is hanging out doing drugs with her boyfriend Funboy when Eric crashes their party uninvited. Eric isn't even bothered when Funboy pulls a gun on him and points it at him. He simply places his hand on the gun barrel, daring him to pull the trigger. Funboy plays along and shoots him right through the hand. Eric acts like it hurt while Funboy celebrates like he just scored a touchdown. The look on his face is priceless when Eric laughs while looking through the giant bullet hole in the middle of his hand as it heals. Funboy shoots him again, but he doesn't go down, and Eric hits his hand just as he pulls the trigger again. This causes Funboy to shoot himself in the leg. Unfortunately for him, his wound doesn't heal and he just passes out from the pain. Eric drags his sorry ass to the bathroom where Darla is hiding. He tosses Funboy into the bathtub and grabs Darla, forcing her to look in the mirror at what she has become. He forces the poison out of Darla's arm, essentially yanking her back from the edge. It's a come to Jesus moment. He makes it clear Sarah needs a mother and she needs to step up her game. Eric then gives Funboy a lethal dose of his own drugs, leaving him dead on the floor just as Grange walks in. He can only watch as Eric slips out the window and disappears into the night. Eric decides to pay Albrecht a visit at home. Albrecht doesn't freak out, even though he's already figured out that Eric was murdered a year ago and is now standing in front of him. Now it's just two men looking for answers. He wants to know how Eric can be alive, and Eric wants answers about Shelly's final hours. He explains that Eric died at the scene and Shelly held on for 30 hours before finally dying at the hospital. He tells Eric that he stayed with her until she died. Eric then does the Vulcan mind meld with him, allowing him to absorb that pain, experiencing what Shelly endured. It hits him hard, but the painful moment also fuels his rage for revenge. Gideon goes to see Top Dollar to bitch about his store being blown up. He tells him about Eric and his crow and his plan to kill T-Bird. Top Dollar is tired of his complaining, so he stabs him through the throat, and when he doesn't die fast enough, he shoots him. So yeah, he's dead. Eric goes after T-Bird, lying in wait in the backseat of his car. He forces him to drive down to the dock so they can be alone. The trunk of the car is loaded with the dynamite that T-Bird planned on using for Devil's Night. Eric has other plans for it though. He duct tapes T-Bird to the seat and steering wheel as T-Bird figures out that he's seen Eric before. He says Eric can't be real because they killed him and there's no coming back from that. Well, T-Bird, there is if you have a crow. T-Bird is having a crisis of faith as Eric drops a flashbang in his lap and sends the car speeding towards the end of the dock. His buddy Skank shows up just in time to watch T-Bird and his car explode into a giant fireball just as it flies towards the water. Eric then leaves his calling card in the form of a crow made of flames. It's a pretty cool shot. Darla, shaken into sobriety by Eric, begins to repair her relationship with Sarah by fixing her breakfast. Seeing her mom in the kitchen is a shocking sight, but she wants to believe that she might actually get her mom back. Sarah visits Eric's loft, hoping to see him, but all she finds is his cat. Just as she gives up on him being there, he pops up and she's not even weirded out by the fact that he's dead. What's a revenge tour without a guitar solo to break things up? Eric jams out on a rooftop, proving that even the dead can make live music. See what I did there? It's a shame that he felt like he had to kill his amp and guitar though. With bodies stacking up, Top Dollar convenes his associates to plan for Devil's Night and to take down the ghost that's been killing his people. Since Skank is the last of the gang that participated in Shelly's murder, Top Dollar includes him in the meeting as bait. The meeting comes to a screeching halt when the crow lands on the table and Eric walks in. They all draw their guns as he jumps up and sits on the table all calm, cool, and collected. Top Dollar finally gets to meet the killer of killers in person. Eric says he's only there for Skank, but Top Dollar turns him down and tells his men to kill him. They don't hesitate to unload everything they have at Eric as he just stands there taking it like Tony Montana until he eventually falls off the table. They laugh as there's no way anyone survives that. Their laughter turns to concern though when one guy notices he's gone. Before they can react, Eric starts shooting them from under the table. He then pops back up and it's on like Donkey Kong. All hell breaks loose as a massive shootout erupts. Bullets everywhere, bodies dropping, and Eric's walking through it like the rules don't apply to him. Because for right now, they don't. Top Dollar, Grange, and Micah all make a getaway as Eric takes out everyone else left behind. After the last body falls, only Skank is left standing. It's not a good day to be a bad guy. Skank dies the same way Eric did, flying out a window and smashing into the ground far below. The police show up, but Eric escapes by running and leaping across the rooftops with only a helicopter keeping up with him. Albrecht shows up in a nick of time to help him complete his getaway, and his only thanks is a bloody passenger seat. Top Dollar, Micah, and Grange drive to safety to figure out their next move. Micah deduces that the crow isn't decoration. It's Eric's link to this world. If you hurt the crow, you hurt Eric. Suddenly, the bad guys have a plan that isn't just, hey, shoot more bullets. Eric, having completed his vengeance, returns to his grave ready to clock out, and he finds Sarah taking a dirt nap at his grave. He gives Shelly's ring to her, passing on something to remember them by. On her way home, Sarah's abducted by Grange and used as bait because Top Dollar and Micah have realized Eric's one remaining weakness is that he still cares, and that's his main liability. Just to be spiteful, they also take Shelly's ring from her. The crow alerts Eric that Sarah's in danger and Eric races to save her. He doesn't hesitate because the stakes are once again personal. He also knows he's walking into a trap. Grange ambushes Eric but shoots the crow instead, injuring it. The moment the crow is hurt, Eric becomes vulnerable. To test this theory, Top Dollar shoots him and sure enough, it hurts him this time. Eric can actually be killed. Again. Albrecht arrives at the church just in time. Who says a cop is never there when you need him? In the struggle, he kills Grange, removing the brute force from the board. And that's what he gets for shooting at a bird. Micah tries to seize the crow and claim its power for herself. The crow fights back, clawing at her eyes, and she stumbles into a fatal fall from the bell tower. Ding dong, the wannabe witch is dead. Top Dollar drags Sarah up to the roof, forcing a final confrontation. Eric is wounded and fading, but fights with everything he has left. He refuses to quit even as his body finally obeys the laws of mortality. Top Dollar stabs him through the back and makes a confession. He reveals that he was the one responsible for their murder because he sent his gang to make an example of him. Eric grabs him and transfers Shelly's pain into him, everything she suffered all at once. Top Dollar, overwhelmed by the horror he caused, falls from the roof and is fatally impaled on a gargoyle, a violent death for a man who lived a violent life. Sarah is rescued and Albrecht is wounded but will survive. With Eric's vengeance finally complete, he crawls back to Shelly's grave where her spirit appears. She has come back to comfort him so he can finally rest. In the epilogue, Sarah visits their graves again where she finds the crow waiting for her with Shelly's ring. Now that she has her memento back, the crow flies off. The end. The movie was pretty successful at the box office. The tragic onset death of Brandon Lee did cause a lot of people to go see it out of curiosity on how they finished the movie without him. But it was the word of mouth on how good he was in the movie that really brought its success. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, drop your favorite scene in the comments, and subscribe for more retro cinema every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next Back to the Feature.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.